For 2 whole years, I have been working part-time in delivery services. While I am actively studying in my 4th year at college, my life is literally boiling with various things. Although not all employers provide a sufficiently flexible work schedule, so I was always looking for a more convenient option. And so, quite recently, I came across a tempting vacancy announcement for a courier who would deliver at night. In addition, they offered quite generous rewards for such work. Without hesitation, I grabbed the phone and dialed the specified number. As soon as the conversation ended, I had an appointment. The next day, I went to the specified address, and I was met by a 2-story building on the edge of the city, which I had never seen before. A smiling guard in a dark uniform, elderly with a bald spot on his head, was already waiting inside. "Where are you going?" he asked happily. "I'm a courier on the night shift, office 207 on the 2nd floor." I replied with a smile from ear to ear. I quickly climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor and entered the office. There, at the table, sat a young guy about 25 years old in a business black suit. He had confidence and an unflappable look on his face. He invited me to sit in the chair opposite. "I remember that you called yesterday about working as a courier," he said completely without emotion, pausing before continuing. "Our conditions are as follows. You will work only at night, deliver certain things to certain places, and receive your salary immediately after each delivery." I nodded in agreement. So began my new, exciting life as a night courier, full of mysterious deliveries and unpredictable situations. Every night was an adventure, and I felt like I was participating in something more than just a delivery service. It was something unique and exciting. This arrangement suited me completely, and immediately after I filled out several documents, Sasha, that was his name, extended his hand to me as a greeting. "My name is Sasha," he introduced himself. We shook hands, and I answered, "Arthur." Suddenly, everything happened so fast that I couldn't even believe my luck. I was hired almost without any questions, but despite the external formality, I was alerted by the fact that the process was taking place so rapidly. Sasha explained that my first shift starts at midnight, and without delay, I should be here in 15 minutes. I arrived at the specified time, even a little in advance, and went into the office. There was a large branded black backpack on the table. "Here is the address to which you have to deliver the goods, and a little instruction," Sasha said, handing me a piece of paper. He also handed me an electronic wristwatch that showed 23:44. "And here is our branded watch," he added. And then Sasha warned me about a rule that could not be broken. "You should never take off your watch until you deliver the goods and come back here," he said seriously. I nodded, understanding the importance of following this rule. "If you take them off, you won't get the money for delivery anymore," Sasha warned. So I went to my first delivery with a sense of responsibility and interest. The black watch on my hand reminded me of the importance of following the rule, and I decided to perform my task in the best possible way. Each step was carefully thought out, and the heart beat in time with the exciting night adventures that were just beginning. I faced a choice, standing in front of the house and wondering how I could get to the specified address. When I opened the mobile application with maps, I found that it does not show this place. Unusual, I thought, because usually all the addresses can be found on maps. But I decided to act according to the instructions on the piece of paper that I was given. There I saw only one word, meat. Meat, I thought, because I myself would not refuse a delicious piece right now. When I got to the place, I saw a strange 5-story building on a vacant lot. There were no other houses nearby, and my terrible night delivery turned out to be inside this mysterious building with an unusual layout. Going up to the 2nd floor, I continued my search for apartment number 155. The corridor branched and turned, and I almost got lost. Finally, I found a sign with an image of a staircase and followed it. Arriving at the apartment, I knocked on the door and waited impatiently for an answer. The door opened, and a bulky man in a white t-shirt and grey shorts stood in front of me. I greeted him, and he silently motioned me to come in. Going inside, I noticed that there were two other equally heavy men sitting in the room. One of them showed me a table. Without hesitation, I opened my backpack and put a black bag of meat on the table. And then I saw their teeth sharp and numerous, like those of predators. A feeling of fear shackled me, and I realized that I just didn't get to the usual delivery. The three men began to bite off the meat and eat it, like predators on the hunt. I cautiously stood by and realized that I was in a completely unusual situation. Questions were crowding in my head, but I didn't know what to do. After the men finished their dinner, I hurried to leave this apartment and this mysterious world, afraid to attract unnecessary problems. At that moment, unexpectedly, one of the men took a purse out of his pocket and handed me money with a smile from the sharp rows of teeth. My hands were shaking as I took the money in the backpack and then quietly left the room. To avoid being followed, I quickly pulled on my sneakers and left the apartment, closing the door behind me. In a panic, I hurriedly looked for a way out, but there were no signs pointing to the exit, and I got confused in these endless corridors. When I turned the corner, I met another bulky man in a butcher's apron with sharp teeth. He was dragging a large bag with a human hand and fingers sticking out of it. When he saw me, he smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Terrified, I ran away from him, fearing that I would get into a dead end and these strange creatures, which I could not call people, would get me. Luck smiled when I found the stairs to the first floor and ran outside. Jumping up on my bike, I quickly left the place, drenched in cold sweat. Amid the confusion, I got to the house where I worked, and with great relief turned to Sasha, who was responsible for the delivery of goods. I asked him about the creatures I was delivering meat to, but he calmly replied that I'd already been paid for the work I had done. After receiving my half of the payment, I handed over the watch to him and left, leaving many unanswered questions. Stunned by what was happening, I returned home and fell on the bed, just wanting to forget about everything and fall asleep. When I woke up in the morning, I left the house, but instead of going to college, I decided to go to the very house where I encountered mysterious creatures last night. My curiosity overcame reason, and I intended to follow them from afar to find out who they were. However, when I arrived at the vacant lot where the house stood, I found that it was no longer there. "Whatever," I muttered, realizing that the investigation had either erased all traces or something else had happened. Then I decided to go back to the bike and go to where I had spent the previous night, running through endless corridors and escaping from strange creatures. But the ground and grass were now in normal condition, and there were no buildings on the horizon, as if everything that happened yesterday was some kind of strange dream.